Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Your Word is Your Wand. And I'm Carrie Mushaw, and this is my business partner,
Andrea Alexander.
and we have a special guest today. Pree is here from Austin, Texas, by me. Yay! Our stress and anxiety coach and a partner here, and this is so awesome to have you here. And as we are coming in, I always choose to remember to say where we're coming from because so I love the shout out to Austin. And Andrea is in Houston, Texas. And I'm actually in Liberty Hill, so close to Austin. So in Williamson County. So we do the Williamson County shout out. So thank you everyone for joining us. And as we begin our podcast this morning, we are choosing to begin, Andrea and I are choosing to begin the same way that we are beginning our clubhouse on Monday and Fridays, and how we begin our monthly classes. And when we do our classes online, one of the things that we enjoy so much is we enjoy breathing, because we all travel from all different spaces. And first thing in the morning, wherever you are, whatever time it is amazing to pause and give yourself breath. And so this morning, as we begin creating this nice sacred container, I'm going to ask anybody who's watching, listening, and if you're driving, keep your eyes open to take a nice big breath. So everyone, let's inhale really big and exhale through your mouth, long and slow. We're going to do that again. And I'm reminding everyone that when we inhale, requesting that we all light up our nostrils, really like you're sniffing a flower. Massive inhale, massive receiving moment. So as we wake up all of our receiving together, let's inhale. Inhale big. Oh, feel your chest expand. And exhale. And again, let's do one more. Here we go. Inhale big. And exhale long and slow. And our exhalation is the massive remembering of letting go. So as we allow every inhalation to remind us of our act of receiving, and our exhalation to remind all of us of our act of letting go. It's just that simple. Our bodies have these tools that we were created with. And if we will, we can every day begin allowing ourselves to remember to receive simply by inhaling and exhaling to let go. Awesome stuff. And Andrea is going to begin us with some decrees. Andrea, will you explain a little bit and share?
Yes. So decrees are something similar to what you may have known as affirmations or mantras. And Carrie and I use decrees as a repattern. It's one of the ways that we can repattern the programs that we have been brought up to believe. And one of the differences between decrees and affirmations is decrees are based in spiritual law or edicts, and often begin and or incorporate the words I am. And what we do, we believe that the Bible says, we use scripture as a basis for some of these. I am that which I say I am. And so when we use I am, I represents God and or love, universe, whatever higher power it is that you choose to believe. And am is self. And the am is the action. So we are God in action when we are using decrees. And so I'm going to share a few with you. And I enjoy placing my left hand over my heart, and I am my own permanent victory in the light.
I am my own permanent victory in the light.
I am my family's own permanent victory in the light.
I am my family's own permanent victory in the light.
I am my world's own permanent victory in the light.
I am my world's own permanent victory in the light.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Light I am.
Me, love, me.
Me, love, me.
And the me, love, me decree is when we're playing with our subconscious and the repatterning of our beliefs. Our subconscious mind, our feeling world, our egoic inner child stays at the age of a 3-year-old. So we will often use decrees that seem incredibly simple, and they touch the inner child and they soothe and bathe us in massive amounts of love.
I love that. Gives it a nice little smile on your face. It's just
Feels delicious.
yes, an immediate reaction. Immediate reaction. I talk about a holy instant when everything changes. The moment right there, it just boom.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Love it. So, Pree, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Carrie, that's such a loaded question.
It's a powerful one.
So, a little bit about me is I was born in New York City, in Queens, New York. Moved up to like Syracuse, New York when I was 2. Knew I wanted to be a computer engineer ever since I was in 6th grade. Went to Purdue University, did 2 years of computer engineering. I was like, this isn't it. I don't want to work this hard. I'm not in love with this. But that was one of the first lessons, powerful lessons that I've had, which has kind of shaped the way I am in terms of the way I coach. And after engineering, I went into management, and then I became a cold calling stockbroker in 2008. Then I went back to Syracuse to get my master's in finance, and then my master's in accounting. And then I worked for Ernst & Young, which is an auditing firm, an accounting firm, for 15 months. And then this was 2013. And at the end of 2013, I'm like, I can't do this anymore, you know? And that powerful lesson that I learned is I was interested in everything, but I wasn't passionate about anything. And that once I, so it was February 23rd, 2014. I cabbed it to Central Park and I meditated, and you know, it's cold, and this was around sunrise. So I meditated for 40 minutes. I removed my family, society, my friends, all expectations. And I just asked the question. I was like, Pree, what do you want to do? Because like, this isn't working, you know? And when I meditated on it, basically what it came down to was being in service for others. And at first it was helping homeless people, but I was like, that's cool, but let's focus on regular folks first before we get to the homeless, you know? And then I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to go back and get a 4th degree. So like, what exactly am I going to do? And what I decided on, what I learned through experience was that when I was eating healthy, when I was moving, when I was doing yoga, and when I was meditating, that's when I felt so powerfully in tune with myself, and my self-awareness, I guess if you want to call it gene, you can call it gene, kind of turned on. And then like all of a sudden I was able to kind of tap into all of these things. I was like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. So I became a personal trainer, a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, a nutritionist. I moved to Austin. I started my own gym called Nirvana Gym, actually, and ran that for a good 4.5 years. And then what I realized was that people were using the gym as an excuse to not do the work at home. I was like, okay, cool. Good learning experience. So now I'm going to focus more on habit creation and helping people with their mindfulness and just helping people with their mindset. And then I was like, and I just love to coach and I love to teach. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to step into my power. I'm going to step into my world and become, I guess you can call it a life coach, but that didn't really resonate with me because I don't feel like I am a life coach. But what I am is I'm a coach that helps identify people. I'm a coach that helps identify what causes stress for people and what causes that anxiety, and just that one little tweak that we have to do that could radically change it, or at least get them on that path to self-awareness and self-development so they can live a life of fulfillment. So that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. I love the part where you said people were using the gym instead of doing the work at home.
Yeah.
And that is so true. I owned a yoga studio for nine years. And what I remember was teaching meditation and then discovering that all of a sudden people created that as their addiction and they had to do it in the studio. I remember training instructors and they were like, can I come up here early? Can I sit here? Can I be here? Where can I go? And it was like, your connection is within you. It has nothing to do with these. I mean, these four walls may feel very zen to you, and yet you can create your own environment and you create everything inside of you. And I did notice that same thing occurred where people were yet to do the, and it's yet, when you say they're not doing it at home, they're yet to do the inner work. They're still keeping everything on the outer. That's what I hear.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, because that also became one of the teachings for what I teach, right? How do we create that environment at home where we feel comfortable, even if we're stepping into the unknown and fear of creating that practice at home, right? Whether it's eating healthy, whether it's cooking, whether it's making your juices or smoothies or doing your yoga poses, foam rolling, meditating, right? Like there's so many things that us as human beings, we want to do every day, but it's not realistic for us to do every day. But what we could do, well, let me backtrack. It is realistic to do it every day, but maybe not to the time frame that we'd like to do it, right? Like, I think ideally we'd like to do yoga for an hour. We'd like to work out for an hour. We'd like to meditate for an hour, but we might not have 3 hours a day to allocate that in a busy day. So it's about creating that environment where even if we do a little bit, we're not going to beat ourselves up because we know that we still did a little bit, and that's all time allotted for today. And there will be another day where we can allot more time to our personal practices. So
I love that you said that. Realistic for every day. I'm currently reading Atomic Habits, and it's 1 degree of shift can create Mandy's already joined our book club. We have a conscious book club. I'll share that with you later. And so the 1 degree of shift can create something completely different over time. And we are of this belief that if we don't give it our all, we're not doing enough. And the truth, what Carrie and I have discovered, what I have discovered is that even if it is 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, it is enough. It's what we're doing is we're shifting the way that we show up for ourselves. And what I heard you speak into is you identified all of the things that fed you with meditation and yoga and gym and all of these things, and that was what created your love. And it's all self-care.
yeah.
And self-care is equal to self-love. And we have had this limiting pattern or limiting belief that we couldn't do it all, that it all had to be of a certain way. And it's been about a year and a half now that I joined the gym, and I created an agreement with myself, which was 30 minutes. And because my pattern is to go in and if I could do 30, I could do 35, I could do 40, I could do 45. And so what I do is I take myself out by creating, now I have an hour and a half. And do I have an hour and a half to go to the gym and do this for me? No. So my commitment has remained 30 minutes for a year and a half. And what we can do is, I've had the experience of committing to breath and saying, I don't have time. I said, oh, you don't have 90 seconds for yourself today? Yes, I do. And so even just teeny tiny baby steps are how we begin to walk ourselves into the belief that we are valued, we are worthy, and that we can create time and space for us, even in small amounts. I love that.
Andrea, I love that you said that, because a big reason us as human beings experience stress and anxiety is we create these time constraints, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, if I work out for 30 minutes, I'll be good because like I have something to do 30 minutes afterwards, and it's going to be a 20-minute commute. It's going to take me 5 minutes to change, 2 minutes to get to the car. And I've noticed so many people, they create these limiting time constraints where they're like, you know what? If I don't go to the gym for those 30 minutes, I get to save an hour, where I can do something else at home, maybe work or whatever it is. And I've noticed that to be such a big thing. And one of the ways I combat that personally is I try to keep my morning open, where it's like, hey, if I want to meditate for an hour, I can meditate for an hour. If I want to meditate for 15 minutes, maybe I have low back pain today and I need to put my legs up the wall so I can stretch out my spine, So if it's possible to not have time as a constraint, it really allows us to not only be in our practice, but to fully experience our practice without our mind going to the next thing. It's like, all right, I got 10 minutes. It's like, I got to get this meditation in, right? It's like, this has to be the best meditation ever. So
that's so funny. The best pet, and that's a funny thing, because my neighbor was talking to me about meditation, and she was starting meditation, and she came to me and she said, I can't stop my thoughts. And I said, well, if you weren't thinking, you'd be dead. And she's like, oh, it's like, so, I mean, is that where you're going? And people have these ideas of what meditation should be.
right.
And we should get all these messages in 10 minutes. And because I've given myself 10 minutes, and I enjoy meditating for longer sometimes. But what I hear Andrea is saying, and this is what I've given myself, is 10 minutes, and then it's fully devoted time. And when you give yourself the fully devoted time, the benefits go on for hours.
Yes.
So, and that's what we're learning is, and that we will focus for that 10 minutes on just being still. As I teach people, if you didn't get people say, well, I heard these voices and I got this message and I had this revelation and I had this and I had that. And then somebody like, I ain't getting any of that. I'm like, okay. And yet you have more clarity during the day, and the messages show up how and where they are to show up, because we all receive our messages completely differently. And if we have this anticipation, we always say, expectation diminishes joy.
Oh, yeah.
And so if we have this expectation that we're going to have these 10 minutes of meditation, and we're going to have this aha moment and all these revelations, and then we'll miss it. If you were just allowing ourselves to have 10 minutes to cancel just because it's a powerful 10 minutes. If we allow ourselves to have 10 minutes of sitting and being, for some of us, that's where it begins. And 10 minutes, as I said, can be so powerful for hours extended on the day. And because is it really just 10 minutes or is it 10 minutes of powerful focus?
Yeah. So many comments.
Awesome.
Andrea, I think you were going to say something, though. What were you going to say?
I was just, what I was hearing is we are here to fill up our own cup. Mm-hmm. It's for us to do. And we've been putting ourselves behind work and family and children and all of these things that we believe that we have to do, mm-hmm. and yet to get to ourselves, and creating a lot of guilt and shame about yet to be able to, I'm not doing enough. And so we do all this stuff to keep the pattern of guilt in place.
Yep.
And so when we will, even for 10 minutes, is when we begin to, that's how we fill up our own cup. And the subconscious mind doesn't play in size. The subconscious mind plays in the moment of now, how I feel, what's happening, and where I am. And if 3 seconds is what you have in your moment of now, our subconscious mind is grateful. There is no, doesn't know if you're playing in a sandcastle or on the Eiffel Tower. And so when we give ourselves that space, no matter how long it may be, is where we are filling up our own cup and letting go of the guilt. And one of the things that Carrie and I have been doing recently, Carrie spoke into waking up every morning. One of the classes we have played in is what are we waking up to? This list of things and phone that we have to do. And so waking up and actually saying, inner or outer, I choose love. Today, I choose love. And whatever love looks like for me throughout the day is different. And then myself, what I've taken on is recounting what I have done today to show up in love for myself. And it's moving my body, it's breath, it's how I feed me, it's how I give myself intimacy, it's a phone call to my mother, it's how I be with someone who, when something happens or they say something, I feel triggered, and staying in my body. And so we are remembering that it's all in us, and how we act and react is how we let go of the anxiety and choose love, and got to toot our own horn.
Oh yeah.
Look at all the things I did for me today.
Yes, that's one of the things Andrea put on deck, was actually sitting down sometime during the day, at night, or the next morning, and just writing down the things that you did for yourself. It really changed the way I was looking at how I was doing things. It was how I felt, because I was still making up. I had to go to the grocery store and had to get the groceries in the house. And then I was like, oh, I went to the grocery store so that I would have ease for the rest of the week. And how awesome is that? And I was like, and so as I was writing it, all of these new feelings were coming in, because it was my awareness was what all I was doing for myself that I may in the past have shrugged off and been like, or I'm not doing it, and yet I am.
Well, it's funny because I feel like society diminishes normal activities such as like grocery shopping, cooking, working out, right? It's like, yeah, it's like you have to do that. It's expected, and you shouldn't congratulate yourself if you do it, because that is what like good human beings do. But nobody in society talks about, well, let me rephrase this too. It's like, I think we were taught everything to be in a vacuum. There's like no lingering emotional energy that goes from task to task, but there actually is. But we're not taught that there is lingering emotional energy that goes from task to task. Like if I had a difficult conversation with my father, I can't most people just can't go to the next task, right? They got to process that. They got to be like, oof, it's like, that was rough. It's like, all right, let me go out for a walk. But we think that it's like, all right, that one difficult conversation was done. Now I'm going to go do something else and do something else. And then what happens is when we get into that cycle, we can't ever like move or cleanse that negative energy because it's just stuck, because we're bringing it from like one action to another action to another action. But creating that space, like you said earlier, Andrea, really allows us to process, to cleanse, to clear out, so we can be more present with the next event, activity, conversation, whatever it may be that we're having. And that really allows to what you were speaking to, Carrie, in terms of like being more efficient because we're present and focused and not thinking about like, oh man, I can't believe my dad said that, or like, I'm really not looking forward to meeting this one person, or like, I'm really not looking forward to doing my social media videos today, right? Like all of that kind of carries on and into the following activities, where it really doesn't allow us to be fully present. And then we view it as a chore and not something that we get to do, like go grocery shopping and get to make delicious celery juice. I'm on a celery juice kick right now.
I do. We do a green juice every morning too.
I like to too.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is you're speaking into that the feeling transfers from the argument to your father to the next activity that you do. You believe you're moving on and you got to get this done. However, the feeling keeps going. And it's because, in my experiences, we're not acknowledging the feeling. We're trying to go, oh, okay. And then goes with you. And what I was aware of, even on my walk, I walk at the park almost every day. And that we've had so much rain. And so there's right at San Gabriel River, there's flowing and a lot more movement in the rocks. And I was just listening to the water, and I heard an emotional flow through you in 30 to 90 seconds if you will allow yourself to feel it and identify it. Because I heard that. And then yesterday I had something happen at my home, and I looked at my son, I said, I am so angry. I am pissed. And then it stayed with me. And I was like, why is it staying with me? Why is it staying with me? And I got in the car and I realized, because I was identifying myself as the feeling.
Yeah.
And the moment that I said, I feel angry, I was like, whew, it moved. And I was like, awesome. And I let it go and I have a new choice. But it was just how I was saying it that was creating, I mean, I could feel my shoulders, and because then after that, I went into, why did I do that? Well, and I was like, why can't I let this go? Well, it's because I identified myself as that emotion, that was who I was. And is that who I am? No.
Right.
So when I allowed myself to just say, I feel, wow, it was just massively.
And just to bring awareness, it's the I am angry. So that, remember, we were talking about decrees. We use the I am because I is God and am is action. And we are, and every single word that we say is a prayer. And we're saying, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm angry, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm tired, I'm mad, I'm frustrated. And so the universe is like, oh, there you go. That's what you're calling on. I am. And when we give ourselves the space of I feel, we call on, we're naming the feeling, and we're giving it permission to move through us, instead of, exactly like Carrie says, calling that's who we are. And that's what Carrie and I play with, is why people's words are keeping them in where they are, with the I should, I have to, I need to, I want, I don't have, I can't have, I'll never. And we can shift our words from I am to I feel and have a completely different experience.
I love that. Yeah.
Me too.
Even when people say, I'm not angry anymore, I mean, it's still an identifier. And so we're still there's still so much power in just saying, this is how I feel, and now this is how I feel, instead of the I'm not angry anymore, because really our subconscious removes the word not and simply hears I'm angry, which still leaves all of that on deck, that's who you are. And so it's, yes, massive words of feeling. So, and I love that you were just sharing how the feeling transfers. It came into me a new way. I love it when you hear things 15 times and then sometimes you hear it and you're like, wow, I heard that, felt that all the way through me.
Yeah.
I love it.
So quick question, no double negatives then, huh?
No,
I like double negatives, but it's so hard to understand though.
And so anything with the contraction is a literal contraction in life. And so the brain, subconscious, is a supercomputer, 100,000 miles per hour in subconscious versus 90 in the conscious mind. And so it works in zeros and ones. And scripture says, take from them their words so that because they know not what they can do. And so we've been speaking into what we don't want, we don't like, we don't do. And the the subconscious mind is literal. And when it doesn't, not and contractions are a 3 in a language of zeros and ones.
Oh.
So you say, don't forget, don't look at it, don't look at it, don't look at it. And what do you want to do? Look at it. And what do? You forget. And so will you remember?
The pink elephant in the room.
Exactly. It's what we have been trained to do, because our words are so powerful. We do create our own reality. We speak into what we believe. Yeah. Belief is perception. Perception and belief create reality. And so when we're speaking and what we don't want, we're telling the word what we do. And so when we actually speak into what we choose from our hearts, which is exactly what you did, is you sat down and you asked yourself, what lights me up? And you got busy and you gave it to yourself. And now here you are. We require having the courage to say what we do desire, so that the angels in the universe can begin to bring it to us. My favorite thing is there's a 12-foot angel at the front door taking your order. What are you going to ask for? Where we will go in and order salads and sandwiches with more specificity than we do with life. We're saying, I want peace. What does peace look like for you? Because it's different. Mm-hmm. And they're like, people have this much anger and they want peace, and they're coming in with the peace at this level of energy. We're required to match it so that we can move it. The subconscious mind is willing to let go when we give it something that feels the same in our body. The amount of anger that we have is the amount of forgiveness and offering we have returning.
Mm.
And so
I love that you said that, because one of the core pillars in my program is journaling, actually. And I call it brain draining. And the reason it's so important is because as we age, we fill up our subconscious mind with all these memories, thoughts, feelings, ideas, whatever, right? And if we don't have a proper outlet, what happens? Our mind is just blowing up, or our cup is overflowing. So writing it down, whether it's relevant or not relevant, allows us to empty the cup, empty out the brain, drain the brain. And then that allows more time and more energy for creativity, for clarity. It's funny. My mantra is like, if you know what your values are, you can identify what your purpose is, which gives you the clarity to take conscious action to live a life of fulfillment. And like journaling is like one of the biggest things that provide clarity. So totally agree with that. And
it's
Andrea,
powerful.
And Andrea, you're reminding me of like a little mini Abraham Hicks. It's wonderful. I love it.
And I was laughing. Didn't you used to be a computer programmer, Pree? Isn't that what you said?
Engineer, yeah.
An engineer. I was laughing because I was thinking, let's put the double negative into a computer and see how many times it spins around in circles. I was imagining this little thing going.
Hilarious.
Yes,
That's
yes.
amazing.
So, Bree, you have some new things that are coming up. The dogs are excited. I don't know if you can hear them. They're excited. But you have some new things coming up. I know you have a new event. Will you share with us what that is? What you're doing?
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. So I don't know about you guys, but I make New Year's resolutions, and if January 1st is not on a Monday, I usually wait till that following Monday. So that could be January 3rd, could be January 5th.
Oh, no. When is it happening for 2023?
So I was like, I don't want to repeat the same mistake. So on December 6th from 2 to 4 p.m. Central, I'm having a 2023 planning workshop, and it's completely free. And basically, we're going to go ahead and set up what our goals are, kind of what Carrie and Andrea were saying earlier. We're going to focus on the atomic habit method, where we're going to focus on some personal goals, some financial goals, if that is what you want to work on. If you want to focus on relationship goals, you can do relationship goals, and business goals too, or spiritual goals or fulfillment goals. So we're going to pick 3 areas, and basically we're going to fill that out for the year, break it down by quarter and break it down by month. And there's going to be a special bonus at the end where there will be like accountability buddies. If you guys really vibe with somebody, we're going to have breakout rooms as a virtual workshop. And yeah, also if you stay to the end, we'll focus on that one difficult task, that if we finish that one difficult task or work on creating that one difficult task as a new habit that will bleed into other areas of our life, it will kind of really propel our progress in terms of reaching the next level that we want to reach at. So that's the link right there.
A one-day event?
I'm sorry? It's 2 hours. 3 hours if people want to stay after and just ask questions. I try to keep things simple because I know how short our attention span is. So
yeah, I hear you. That's why I love the pod. We call them pods. Andrea and I prefer to lay down the word break because everybody's got the broken heart and the broken bones and the broken, and so we enjoy calling them pods. I put them in little pods. So a pod is something that grows, and that's my enjoyment of that.
I also have another link if that one is too long.
Okay.
Which I can put in the chat maybe.
No, go ahead and put it in the chat. We'll see how it goes. Learning that myself. I'm here to tell you.
I'm so grateful for Carrie's willingness to play in some of the technology things, and she enjoys it and finds her way through with great ease. It supports me greatly.
So it's funny because I have a love-hate relationship with technology. It's like when I'm in it, like I want to learn it, but when it's like this is too much for my brain to process right now, it's like I'm not going to focus on that. So it's kind of a very, how am I feeling today with tech?
And that's so in Atomic Habits, he talks about how when we are learning something new, our brains are doing their best to find the easiest way through. And I'm aware of the amount of frustration that I have experienced in the past learning some technology stuff. And then now I'm like, oh, yeah, I know how to do that. Oh, now I know how to do that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And it's hilarious how we behave.
I believe it's the same thing that we were talking about in meditation. Do we require sitting in the computer for hours and hours on a time?
No.
And I believe that's what we're speaking into, is that that's what, at least that's what I know I've experienced before. And sitting there, and I just told Andrea, I have a few hours that I will sit and then see he agrees. Confirmation.
And what I just got was it's how we keep on deck that we've got to get this. Otherwise, if we're gonna fail, it's how my business is gonna grow. It's how I'm gonna get to the next level. And we're pushing. We can only absorb so much at a time.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that we know this as human beings, but either we keep forgetting or we keep trying to like go against the grain and be like, this time it's going to be different. It's like, this time I have more energy. I drank more celery juice this time. I got more clarity. I could do this for longer. It's like, nope.
I asked one of my clients, I said, are you walking up the river the wrong way? Wouldn't it be easier to just go with the current? She was like, oh my gosh, yes. I was like, because it just felt as though it was so heavy. I was like, she was like, to your point, going against the natural flow. And I use that analogy because we can all see it, we can all visualize it, and we all know what it feels like to walk up a river when the current is going one direction. And we can choose to create great ease and give ourselves, I'm going to just like I said, just like meditation. I'm going to sit here, work on this for this amount of time, and then give ourselves a recess and some ease. It's to me, I laugh at that the same way that I laugh at the multitasking. We all believe, oh yes, I can multitask. I asked my son the other day, so can you multitask? And he's like, yes. I said, oh, you believe that works? He's like, yes. I'm like, let's talk about that a little bit. And he was like, oh, because what he was actually saying is he had gone to his teacher. He'd come home and said to me, this is how my teacher's teaching us, is that I'm writing down all the notes that she has on the board, and she's asking us to copy it at the same time that she's explaining it. And he said, it's yet to work for me. And so we went in and sat with her, and he shared with her exactly what it was that was happening for him. And she's like, oh, wow. Okay. So what is it that you would enjoy seeing? And so he said, she's like, because you're just filling in like little blanks. He's like, I would enjoy those blanks already filled in, and I would enjoy just listening to you. She said, okay, I'm going to request that I'll do that. You bring your highlighter and you highlight it when you hear me say it. He said, done. And now the class is so much easier and so much more interesting for him than it was before. And can we multitask? We keep believing that we can. And like women are we're multitaskers. We can do it all at the same time. Yeah. And I'm like, where? Our brain is yet to work that way.
That's why we're tired. Back and forth.
So, Carrie, I love that you said that, because I feel like anybody can accomplish anything if they know how they operate and they can execute it efficiently, but have the understanding that if it's something new, it's going to take a while to master the efficiency of it. But as we get older, we forget about that, right? Like, it took us a while to learn how to crawl, and then to walk, and then to ride a bike, and then to drive, and then maybe to learn math or English or whatever, right? But for whatever reason, maybe we had support during those formative years that we were growing up in school, or maybe we didn't. But for whatever reason, and I think social media and today's external stimulation epidemic has greatly contributed to it, where it's like, I ordered something and I have to wait 2 weeks to get it. It's like, that's unacceptable. I'm going to find a different way to do this, where it's like, hey, if it takes 2 weeks, it takes 2 weeks. It's like, you have to focus on doing something else. And then our attachment to attachment and our attachment to expectation. If there's one or two things that I'm going to leave this podcast with, or this live recording with is the more that you can be detached and the less that you can be attached to your expectations, the more that we can blossom as society, because we're thinking and being and doing in the present and not getting attached to what we think the way things should be or how quickly we think that they should be executed, because we create this whole program in our mind that it has to be this way. So yeah, definitely have to throw that out there.
I love that he was willing to speak into what was yet to work for him, which is this your youngest? Is this
Yes,
Bryce?
this is Bryce. Yes.
So the 14-year-old who is willing to say yet to work instead of just getting irritated. And then I love that there's always a solution when we are willing to say what we require. And
because the teacher, she goes, oh, and it was just like, I mean, we believe they should know that, or they know that, or they know that they're just doing something different. I mean, it's just the stories that we create for ourselves of why we wouldn't go in and have that conversation. And she just immediately was like, oh, wow, okay. And just heard him and asked for what he was desiring, and then met him on a common ground. And that was powerful.
And what I hear you say is the willingness to let go of the concern for what others may think about or how they may see us based on what we require. We're the only ones judging ourselves.
Right.
That's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm worried about what they're going to think. I'm worried about how they're going to see me. I'm worried about whether we're speaking into it or not, showing up, looking stupid, or however it is that, and it's all connected to a childhood memory stored in our bodies that we have yet to move through. And that's why we get triggered. And we're really here. We're each here for our own experience. And when we see who we are and what's acting, as you spoke into what we've become attached to, the feelings we've become attached to, that we can, when we're willing to let go, exhale, surrender, then we can have the fulfillment in life that we choose.
Yeah, 1000%. And that actually got me thinking about one last thing, Andrea, is that I think if people realize that as human beings, we all have our plates of strengths and our plate of weaknesses. Some people are really good at relationships. Some people are really good at money. Some people are really good at trying new things. And it's just what we're born with or what we've learned how to do. And just because we're good at something and somebody else is bad at that thing, or we're bad at something and somebody else is good at one thing, doesn't mean that we should judge, but we should find it's like, hey, like money is really important to me, but I don't know how to make money. How can I learn from somebody that actually makes money that can teach me without me thinking myself lesser than them, where I can't approach to them? Because at the same time, even though they have money, they might be thinking about like, man, my health sucks. It's like, I have no idea how to get my health in order. Right. So like, it's the same problem disguised in a different mask, format, whatever word you want to throw out there, feel free, have fun with it. But yeah, it's like, if we can recognize and accept that, and then not judge ourselves because we haven't reached that level of competence that we've yet expected for us to achieve at this certain age or whatever, then it would completely transform the way that we grow as human beings, because we would dive into it and we know that we're not going to hate ourselves because we're putting ourselves in a position to succeed. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yes. And we say our greatest weakness shall be our greatest strength. And so Bible says, let the weak man say, I am strong. And so we've got those things that is it's a portion of our path to what we're here to do in life. And I love that you said relationship, love, money, and health and wealth. And so, because they're all connected. Right. So how we are with love in relationship and money is the same conscious energy, meaning that how love leaves, money goes. That, and then our health and our wealth are connected. So how we be with our money is how we be with our health. And I've had the experience of every time I jump into a new level of supporting my health, I see my wealth expand.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yes, which is what we have coming up next is recoding how we have our money wired is going to be our class for January.
That's exciting.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's our most popular class.
Makes sense.
Massively fun.
It's fun. I was explaining to somebody the other day the different ways that Andrea and I play is we find patterns in the things that we're experiencing in life. We've done a class on closets and what you have in your closet. And in my experience in playing this way, it makes it much more accessible and it's much more fun because people are like, oh yeah, I'll write down what all's in my closet, and then identifying what they are about and being able to look at it. And we're talking about it in the money class. We talk about bills and why there's certain bills that you cringe. And if there's certain bills that you cringe at, what does the bill represent? And it may be a time and space where somebody had a medical injury and you don't want to go there or remember that. And we're remembering that is a time and space and it's complete. And are we willing to make the investment as an investment of health returning as opposed to believing in the injury is what you're paying for?
Right.
And it's just a different. And so we play in all of and it's fun to watch because internet, if people get mad about internet, it's like, so are you mad about how you've been connecting to life? And they're like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so we play in all these different fun ways of finding it. And that's what I enjoy. Is how accessible it is because everything around us is happening for a reason. And there goes Andrea's self-confirmation.
Yes. And everything is translatable in consciousness. Everything from stub toes to tires. So it's awesome.
Do you say tigers or tires?
That's hilarious. You heard tigers. And I said tires.
Can we go with tigers?
Yes, we can go with tigers. And then,
sure.
Yes. And what's the animal totem and what's the meaning in the animal totem? That's what you heard. And that's what your signal. I empower you to follow that when you complete the call is to go on what's the animal totem of tiger? What does it mean? And find in you.
I imagine it's something powerful.
Yes.
We would assume.
Awesome. And then people can find you online at The Art of Nirvana. Is that correct?
Yeah. Tell us about your social media sites that you desire for people to find you.
So I'm going to go ahead and put
I love the chat.
In the private chat where you can find me. So if you just look at The Art of Nirvana or just my name, Pree Poonati, find me on Facebook, Instagram. I'm going to start recording more videos on TikTok and all of that stuff too. So that'll be fun.
Oh, you TikToking?
Not yet. I downloaded the app, but I haven't done anything with it, but soon. Soon.
Awesome.
I have a few things on TikTok and I enjoy playing with it. And then sometimes I'm like, I even asked my son, I said, so how do you do this? He said, Mama, I don't play on TikTok. I said, you don't? And he said, no, I don't do that. I was going to get a 14-year-old education. Like, surely. He's like, no, Mama. I'm like,
reels and other things. And my genius is in another zone. I am a masterful coach. I am a masterful speaking into so many different things, and creating reels is yet to be my wheelhouse, and I empower others to do it for me.
Yeah, I love it.
That was all in one breath.
I feel strongly. Can you tell?
I also have a Facebook group, appropriately named Stress Free with Pree. I came up with that by myself. Thank you.
Wow.
That's nice. Stress Free with Pree.
I
And
imagine you danced in your house when that came to you.
well, it's funny when you're in it, right?
Yes, and it's that moment where we feel it. You're like, I got it. I'm inspired because we are playing with. We have a Facebook community as well, and we're playing with creating it in a completely new way, which is going to be a movement, and what that's going to actually be called.
I love
And
it.
in this group that you have, Pree, is this can anybody join, or is it a private group?
Yeah, well, it's a private group. You just have to answer 3 questions about whether you experience stress or anxiety in your life. If you'd like tools or tips on how to overcome stress and anxiety, and like what's your email address so I can send you some stuff when, in case you're not active in the group. So, but yeah.
And active in the group, what are you imagining, Pree, for your group? Let's
Well,
put it on the altar, my friend.
hey, I love it. I think starting in January, because I still need to tune up some things by the end of the year, I'm going to have a live Q&A coaching call, seminar, workshop, pod, whatever you want to call it, like in terms of what people are experiencing with stress and anxiety. And, we'll just go ahead and answer those. And there's going to be like freebies there. I have the stressless checklist. That's a mouthful. Where people can identify what areas that they're causing stress. And then I have the 30 most common causes of stress and anxiety and like how to get rid of them. And yeah, it's just a bunch of value add. It's a community where people get to meet other like-minded, cool people. They got to be calm. They got to be chill, because if they're not,
They got to be cool.
Yeah. I'm calm, cool, and chill, right? So your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Pree, thanks so much for joining us today. And it was so fun.
It was.
All this consciousness.
Thank you so much for having me. I know that I met Andrea 2 weeks ago. She's like, yeah, you're ready. Let's go. Come on.
Yes, and thank you for being willing to play and showing up. And I am massively enthusiastic to discover what the universe has on deck for us 3 as we begin to play and discover how we can support each other and supporting our planet, our world, and connecting you and Carrie. I look forward to hearing what begins to manifest for all of us.
Absolutely. Can we close with a quick breathing exercise?
Yes. Do you choose to lead? Obviously.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and lead it. So
awesome.
Let's all sit up straight, take a deep inhale, raise the arms up. Get as much height as you can. And then bring the hands out to the side and forward. Feet firmly planted. We're just going to take 4 breaths. Inhale through the nose, pause, large audible sigh through the mouth. So inhale, hold, sigh it out. 3 more. Inhale through the nose. Hold. Sigh it out. These last 2, let's try to elongate the inhale and the exhale. Inhale. Hold. Exhale through the mouth. Last one. Inhale. Hold. Now, longest exhale you can, draw it out. And bring your hands to prayer, to your heart center. And just gently blink your eyes open. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Namaste.
Namaste. You are
Namaste.
welcome, my friend, and have a beautiful day. And we'll connect soon.
For sure. Thank you guys. Have a good one. Bye.
Blessings.
Blessings.